Hi everybody and welcome to Secret Sessions, Ask the Expert. My name's Kate Hutchinson and I am the founder and managing director of the Secret Event Service. So what are the Secret Sessions? So Secret Sessions are a series of talks that we're going to be giving you access to, which will give us the insights to what experts are doing in our industry and around our industry to better upskill us, to create momentum, to engage and ignite our audiences. And I'm very proud today to have our first guest, Lisa Clifford. So Lisa Clifford, for those of you who don't know Lisa, is a high impact trainer, speaker and coach who has worked with the likes of the British Armed Forces, Lloyds Banking Group, Intercontinental Hotel Group and Tesco. Lisa first came into my life after speaking at a SmartWorks event that I was involved with, and I was wowed by her high energy, thought-provoking knowledge and her ability to ignite people. So welcome, Lisa, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm loving being in the hot seat.
Well, it's great to have you. And I know that the things that we're going to talk about today are just going to massively impact and benefit people from listening to. So thank you very much. So talk me through, because I know you touched on that incredible example of the impact that you made in a very short period of time. But talk me through an example of where you've worked with an organisation and they've seen long-lasting impact.
Well, I'll stick with that one. I mean, there's lots, but I'll stick with that one because in that particular I call it my signature session, Be Unstoppable session. In that, I get people to think about what really matters. You know, I said right at the beginning, what really matters to them in their life, nothing to do with work. So not only were the blooming brilliant at getting the rate increases, negotiating rate, very fair, not only did they get the business results, but they set personal goals. So pretty much when I speak to that sales director now, which is 7 years later, and it's in the hospitality sector, which I have a big love for, and I want to be part of getting them back on the feet when they're ready. But when I speak to that sales director, he tells me about his own successes, personal successes, and his team successes. Some of them have set up their own business. Some of them have bought a property portfolio. Somebody's bought a holiday villa. Somebody's experiencing fatherhood in a way that he had never had in his awareness before. Just what they're having for their own lives is playing out, as well as the results they're getting and the template of thinking that we bed in through experience and through doing things in a way that is undeniable. And it's not chalk and talk, and it's not role play. It's actually doing things that your mind wouldn't normally believe was possible, and yet you do it. So you just can't be the same person when you experience something that your mind has said, well, that's not possible. And then you do it, then it turns everything else on its head, where you just think, well, what else did I once think wasn't possible? What was my model of thinking?
Yeah.
And they reinstate that, and then they apply it to that project, that goal, and have whatever experiences that they are aligned with. So
it's almost like you rewire somebody's brain, isn't it? That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, and that they do it through experiencing something. And what happens is, in my workshops, is that they feel that feeling of, oh, no. And I deliberately tailor it in a way where they have that come to the surface, so that the first time that they feel that isn't when they're about to step into their goal.
Yeah.
They have it in a way that they feel that, oh my goodness, no, oh, right, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then for them, they activate their movement in their potential themselves, because nobody can push you into it. And I believe our potential expands and expands and expands as we grow. There's more potential and there's more potential, and we only get to see glimpses of it. Yeah. But I meet people all the time that have worked for companies and companies that have worked with me, where they say, we're still doing that thing you said, and they're still getting those results. And oh, so-and-so, they followed your process and stopped smoking, and so-and-so followed your process and flew on a plane and did a fur flying, and so-and-so's now doing a triathlon, and you know, they were 7 stone overweight. You know, the stories are popping up all the time. And I've now got, having done this for 16 years, the benefit of time to see what the results have been. Unlike somebody that might have been doing it for a year or 2 years, they don't know what the long lasting effect is. But I get emails from people saying, you worked with my husband at a seminar, when are you running one? I want to come on one. And it'll be from years ago. So it's
amazing, isn't it?
It's life changing. It's humanity impacting and life changing that businesses directly benefit from.
I think as well that it's quite an interesting one, and it leads quite nicely into the next thing I want to talk to you about. You have to be a certain type of business to want that, because it's quite scary, isn't it? It's
people are thinking, what has she got people doing?
Oh my God. But it's quite scary to want to make those changes, because you have to admit some element of admitting that something needs to change. And actually people don't particularly like that. You know, some people are adept to change, some people are reticent, aren't they?
Yeah.
So talk me through the right time for you to start working with an organisation.
That's a good question. So the right time is when the difference that's going to happen within those people that I'm going to work with, that you can support their expansion of belief and vision, and that you can be part of it.
Yes.
That's the key thing, because the managing director cannot be separate from this. They have to be in it. It looks like you've got something interesting to say there.
I just had one of those spark moments where, because it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because if you as a business, if your model as a business is not in a position where you can handle the growth that comes out of it, then it's not the right time for you to work with that business, is it? Because say there was a business, let's give an example. Say there was a business where they wanted to make some shifts, but they weren't really willing to make the massive changes that ultimately come out of this. And then they give you access to their staff and you make these incredible changes, but then they're not willing to go through the process of change internally. The staff are just going to leave, because the staff are going to carry that belief with them. And if they're then in that organisation can't mirror that belief and take that belief with them, then they're going to lose that staff member, aren't they?
Yeah, but what happens before they leave is they die trying to get the organisation to grow with them. They are less likely to give in on the organisation until they absolutely have to, because they feel this incredible loyalty and feel indebted for what they now know about themselves as a human, that they associate to the organisation, that they want to repay. There's that connection that they want to repay. So in my observation, what's happened is that they've really thrown everything at getting the organisation to be part of this growth.
Yeah.
And at a devastating last resort, they move on.
Yeah.
And so the ideal situation is that we put in place a framework, a growth framework, because, you know, when we grow, we have growing pains, we have a massive spurt, and we need the infrastructure, if you like, you know, the team meetings, the growth meetings, the way in which, you know, I teach high performance thinking. So how you keep that level of focus, commitment, discipline, alignment and belief going. And as Steve Redgrave said when they won the rowing Olympics, you know, we're going to row as hard as we can, as fast as we can, for as long as we can. And everybody that's gone through the training that I deliver wants to do that because they like the way that they feel. So then what we need to have in place is those growth meetings, those high impact meetings, but that they're delivered in a way that is aligned with the sharpness of the thinking.
Yeah.
So, for example, not going back to sitting around a boardroom with a long agenda with people that are not needed to be in it there. You know, that, like a sports team, you'd have them standing up and you'd have timings, and it'd be solution focused thinking, and you'd bring your already solutions to the meeting. You wouldn't be expected to sit down and solve problems. You'd be on your feet doing. So bringing those kind of little changes in, and what is the overall vision? How does a team fit into it? And having the team set the vision.
Yeah.
Because we doesn't have to lay on one man's shoulders, one woman's shoulders at the head of the company. And when the team set the vision, they absolutely want it to work. They invest their heart and soul, and they see how, and I'm on a bit of a soapbox, I can feel it in the way I'm speaking, but they can see how their own purpose is being fulfilled through the work that they do.
Yeah.
And until they do that work, they're simply coming along and doing a job for somebody they like at best, to take home the money for somebody they love.
Yeah.
And but when they do this work, my signature work, when they do that, then their purpose is being fulfilled by the work that they're doing, because they can see why they're doing what they're doing. So what needs to be in place for people to do this work is the directors are not separate from the team, and the companies that are the most successful are the ones where the leadership team undergo the same exciting adventure and journey of the training. The ones that are least successful are the ones that separate the directors from the rest of the team, and the team have my training, but the directors don't. So the directors can't sustain the high performance impact thinking that the team's been trained to deliver. There isn't a framework to keep that going.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It makes total sense. And I think that's really, really interesting, because that means that it's quite obvious the organisations that need your help. And actually, I think you made a really valid point earlier on in the conversation when you talked about, when we're in a position to be able to, the comeback of the hospitality industry is going to be magnificent. It is. I believe it will be. But actually, to get those teams back up to where they were performing before, if not beyond, because ultimately they're going to need to perform beyond where they were to make up for what's happened, it's going to take some serious work.
It is, and it's going to take a high impact experience for people to be reminded of who they were before 2020 and what is possible for them, and they've got to hit the ground running. It can't be gently, let's just go easy with them, because actually what their soul wants and what their spirit wants and what their mind wants is, I want me back. I want me back, and I want to be part of something, and I want to be connected to it. And so there's no time when businesses come back to being operational again. They can't afford to take a gentle, slow approach. But my sessions feel a little bit gentle. Before they know it, they've expanded into, they start off feeling a bit gentle and everybody's on board. Then I take them somewhere where their belief is changed forever. But as soon as we get back into being operational, companies need to do a high impact thing that isn't a false start, that is saying, we believe in you and we need you to see just how incredible you are. And then to be it, use this as your arena to demonstrate your brilliance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm convinced when this whole thing is blown over, that we are going to have the roaring 20s. We're going to have.
I love that.
Absolutely. I just believe that's where we're going. We're going to have an incredible time, because I think people are going to be desperate for human connection in a way that we had forgotten we needed. People are going to be just absolutely obsessed with making up for the time missed in terms of that memory creation. So I think people are going to be looking for opportunities. So money will be spent less on things and more on experiences, because we just, we've had all the things, we've been in a house full of things for by the time it's over, for realistic, probably 18 months, and have those things really brought us joy? What are the real things that have brought us joy? Well, actually, it's time spent with family that we wouldn't have otherwise got. It's getting back out into nature and experiencing what it means to be in nature and what that does for your mindset. And it's creating memories. So we're going to become focused, I think, when things go back to normal, on making memories, spending time with family and friends that we weren't otherwise able to spend time with, and just being in this environment where it's all about having fun with each other and that human connection. I just really believe that we're going to go back to a focus on human connection.
I think people have found in this experience that they are no longer willing to live without a purposeful life.
Yeah.
And that they recognise that being disconnected from purpose, or maybe not recognised it yet until they speak to me, But some of the highs and lows they've experienced emotionally and mentally have been as a result of searching for something, somebody that might change their job or their partner or their home or something, or have lots of changes, like they're trying on lots of different hats to see if the thing they're searching for is in that, not realizing what they're really searching for is connection to the purpose. What's the point of them? What's the point of me? I need to mean more than working for the big man. I need to mean more than working for a corporation. And perhaps in discovering their purpose, they can relate to why their purpose is perfect working for that organization or that big man, as we call it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people need more meaning, and they are no longer willing to accept. I was going to say happy, but they're no longer willing to accept a transactional experience. I come to work, I do this, I come home.
Absolutely. And that's just it. So describe to me how your position has changed since 2020 and how your delivery has been adapted.
Yes, so I'm reaching much more people through the box, and much more people spending their own money to be coached and trained.
Yeah.
And no longer leaving their development or their growth or their spiritual, mental, emotional and physical growth, no longer leaving it as the responsibility of their employer.
Yeah.
And that however they experience life is their responsibility. So lots more people willing to spend their own money on their own development. I'm having to stir that emotion through the screen, and when we're in isolation, not be able to do some of the life-changing empowerment experiences that they have. But then I've also ran more of those events in the available months we had in 2020 than I'd done in any other year before.
Yeah.
And my open events had more people attend. So what I'm noticing is people are recognizing they need something much bigger than an online course.
Yeah.
And that they need to experience something for their self-belief and focus to come back. And companies are knowing they've got to do something that is high impact, that's not your regular team building, climbing, archery, those things which are all great, and they're actually great rewards to give to teams.
Yeah.
But in the sessions that I run, they know that if they can say, when my team worked for me, they did this and it changed the way they felt about themselves and the company, then it's the ultimate. In fact, it is said that this particular training is the most powerful training there is on the planet today, and has been for thousands of years. But I do it in a unique way.
I love it. We're going to discuss the secret at the very end, so people do know. So my final question for you is, what are your predictions for 2021 and beyond for the business world?
I think we are a nation of fighters and survivors. I think that the strong and purposeful amongst us will be the solution. We'll do everything we can to get, and you used the term earlier, get back to where we were, but even better and faster. And I think that what's brewing within us now is this engines are starting to get going. If people spend their time like you did with that, this is an opportunity to realign, reprogram, plan, prepare, then they're going to come out the starting blocks ready to go. And what they want when they do that is to be completely fueled, that they're not the ones getting in their own way, because there's no doubt that they've got the skill and the ability. And I think that people feel like they don't need any more skill and ability teaching to them. What they need is every single person feeling unstoppable and going for it.
Yeah.
They can't afford anybody not to be. They just can't. And I'm hoping that teams will come together in a really cohesive way, get a hold of each other and not let go, in a sense of camaraderie that frightens their competition. So I'm hoping that it brings that. And I'm pretty confident in our nation that will come back with that, not a sense of, well, we need to be gentle on the team and ease them back in. No company can afford that.
No.
And nor is that good for their employees to be eased. They want the shock of their lives of, oh, that's who I am. Now I'm awake and alert and on it. Yes, let's go for it. And then the right recognition and being valued in place when they do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really interesting because I know for us as a small team, we've had to find that camaraderie in the last few months to survive. That's the only way I can describe it, to just survive. And now we're getting beyond survival, we're looking at thriving. But we are in a position where we're able to think even about thriving because of that strong camaraderie. And I know the team that we've got in place and the team that I know we're bringing to the fore in the next few weeks and months are just going to implement that same camaraderie in every single aspect of what they do as well. So yeah, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, and no company can afford a team to have a slow start,
No.
and nor can they afford to feed that slow start accidentally.
No.
And the kind of training I'm talking about makes people feel amazing.
Yeah.
And not limited to a certain level.
No.
I once had somebody say to me, oh, I love what you do, Lisa. And she'd been on quite a bit of my training. She says, but my team are not ready for that. And it broke my heart that somebody was deciding the capacity of growth and development on behalf of their people, when I absolutely know whether it's somebody that's really ambitious or somebody who's had to stay at home and look after children.
Yeah.
You know, whether they've had the career or not, the work that I do is for anybody and everybody, and no one person should rule out their capacity for it. But some companies find themselves doing it.
I think it isn't a limited capacity in the team, it's a limited capacity in that person to be able to focus on making the change. They think it's going to be too difficult for themselves and they're just putting that on their team.
That is possible. And sometimes people might think, but what do I want with an unstoppable team? What will I do with them? Will I be able to manage them? Will I be able to lead them? Well, that's just an opportunity to step up into the next level of leadership.
Yeah.
That is absolutely within you. It's just fear and doubt in yourself that makes you limit what's possible for your team. But I cover all of that with people that I'm training and coaching, because people have to have the courage to lead people that feel unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lisa,
Yes.
tell us your secret. What is it that you do?
So I am a firewalking instructor. So I take companies, people over red hot coals barefoot so that they can step into their incredible human potential. But coupled with that, and I say coupled, that suggests there's another thing that goes with it, but there's a few things. I bring with it the leadership training. I'm a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming and hypnosis. I'm a business and corporate coach. I'm a personality profiler. So I bring all of this into that human having an insight into their unstoppability. So I've done this for 16 years. And within the firewalking experience are other experiences that help prepare people to break through limiting beliefs, to focus in their mind in a way that they can do things that are physically impossible without focus. And then the walking over the fire just becomes an experience that their heart and soul will never stop thanking them for or ever forget, and is undeniable. And so what happens is that people once had a belief that fire burns. They walk over fire, not in a technical way. There's no kind of, oh, if you walk this way. No, we can walk over the fire, not feel anything, drop your focus, walk over the fire, burn your feet, same fire, same coal, same feet, same action. Two different results based on one with focus and one without, one with alignment, one without. And that to me is when you take that metaphor into business,